All right, welcome back. I hope you're having an amazing time so far. Our next speaker is Scott Parker, Director of Product Marketing at Sinequa. Please join me in welcoming Scott to our virtual stage.
Thank you so much. I'm Scott Parker, and I'm here to talk about AI to monetize your enterprise content. So the premise is that organizations' knowledge and expertise are often siloed and only shared in a very informal manner. And harnessing this ever-growing content to extract the golden nuggets is vital to driving innovation. And in the next 15 minutes or so, we're going to explore how an intelligent search platform underpins the modern workplace. So the reality is that we're all facing a workplace that's becoming increasingly chaotic. People are still at the core, and we're navigating differently. We're interacting with information in different ways. And in fact, employees on average use at least 35 job critical applications on a daily basis. And the solution to much of this is encapsulated by this fashionable term we've all heard, digital workplace. And it has many definitions. And the one from Gartner, which is shown here on this chart, is the best one that I've seen. So not a day goes by at Sinequa without having a conversation about the digital workplace. And that's because Sinequa provides a platform that adds intelligence to the digital workplace. We provide an intelligent enterprise search platform. And organizations that are pursuing intelligent search as a key component in the digital workplace, they want to realize value quickly. And they're looking for comprehensive packaged technology that helps them move quickly without sacrificing context or quality. And by adopting a flexible and complete platform, these organizations can shield themselves from the cost and the complexity of IT integration. It also means they don't have to purchase a point solution whenever new business requirements come up. Instead, they can leverage existing platform capabilities to configure so-called insight applications that are specifically aligned with end users' business goals. And by leveraging platform capabilities, these insight apps provide end users with an intuitive and a contextual way to access critical information that keeps them in the flow of their work. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. So for context, what are some of the top technologies that employees in knowledge-centric organizations want to adopt? Well, as these organizations increasingly shift to digital work, these employees are looking for intuitive and contextual access, right? And they want it in context of these collaboration and digital workplace apps. So think Microsoft Teams, think Google Workspace. And as you can see from the survey results on this chart, respondents place the AI-powered search and discovery tools only second to collaborative tools. So a pretty high priority. This acknowledges the need to help employees sift through massive amounts of information so they can get to that critical knowledge. So when don't workplaces work, right? That's worth considering. Well, it's usually when there are disconnected systems that require people to maybe request access to those systems, go into each one of those systems separately, find what they need, analyze the information that they find, and then make decisions accordingly. It can be incredibly time consuming, and it can be a big risk factor if they can't find the right information or if they can't analyze it properly in the time they have. And because of this, and because of the growing masses of data, knowledge gets lost or it gets buried. And this is knowledge that's critical for making informed decisions and for innovating. And if employees can't use these systems effectively and they can't make decisions quickly, and they can't communicate effectively within and outside their immediate team, then the business suffers. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about each of these, about the impact. So to really understand the problems around disconnected systems and information access, we partnered with APQC to survey over 200 CIOs and CTOs, and half of them said there's an incredible amount of confusion about where information is stored and the main reason that systems are disconnected. In fact, employees are spending upwards of 18 hours per week just searching for information. And in a world where companies are expected to move quickly and exceed their customers' expectations, well, often the opposite happens. So let's reflect a little bit on the past 18 months or so, right? The physical separation of the workforce directly impacting knowledge loss. Back when we were all in the office, we were better equipped to just ask our colleague where something might be, or maybe knows what do they know about a given topic. But it's just not the case in a distributed situation. It takes more time to do that. And it's harder, especially when we go outside of our immediate teams. How are employees responding to this? Well, let's take a look at some Teams usage data that Microsoft shared going back to February of last year. And what we see is that employees started relying on and communicating with team members online more than ever before to do their job. Well, this makes sense, right? But cross-team collaboration, it's drastically decreased and it's staying at lower levels, right? So why? Well, in this hybrid, more distributed model, we don't always know who's working on what and who has the information that's going to help us to do our job. And even if we do, it's taking much longer to collaborate effectively across teams than it did when we were all physically together in the office. So when employees struggle to communicate across teams and collaborate, the business suffers, the business value suffers. And the business value, what is it? It includes just driving innovation, whether it's the product or the service that the organization puts out. It's delivering the best customer experience. It's creating a satisfied workforce, right? Trying to keep people, keeping your good people working. It's avoiding risks. It's driving growth. Those are all the business value imperatives. And this list just includes some of those things that we see from organizations that have an efficient workforce. But the reality is it's not one department or one team that can deliver these things. It's a team effort, and every single employee contributes, right? And they have to work together to stay ahead of the competition and keep their customers happy. So where does intelligent search fit into the picture? What role does it play in making the digital workplace work? Well, done properly, intelligent search synthesizes all of the enterprise content and data in all formats and all languages into accessible and useful information. And it does it securely, and it does it at scale. And by synthesizing, we just mean enriching all the information and connecting it along topical lines so that the resulting unified corpus can equip the enterprises with the means to accelerate innovation and efficiency and agility. So let's take a look at what makes search intelligent. Intelligence within a search experience, it's powered not by one single thing, but rather a cohesive combination of a number of things. So end users perceive an intelligent search experience when the solution in front of them can accommodate their questions and their queries and connect them with the collective knowledge of the organization and provide them with the most relevant information. IT personnel and search administrators perceive an intelligent search experience when they have something that's reliably secure and something that's accommodating when it comes to deployment options and the ability to ingest content and data from different sources. So it's a combination of things. It's an emergent property. Sinequa's platform is designed to cohesively combine disparate technologies to enable an effective digital workplace. Provides smart connectors there on the left and converters so that it can ingest all the enterprise content and the data. It's been designed to combine various capabilities to automate the interpretation of the meaning and connect the related information. So a key to connecting information and surfacing meaning is, of course, natural language processing, while leveraging integrated deep learning technology to enhance and improve the user experience. And none of this would be useful at all without a well-designed presentation layer at the top that is attractive and understandable in that it makes sense of the end user's intuition. So that's the Sinequa platform in a nutshell. Let's go a little bit deeper. Today, most applications have an embedded search engine that operates on pure keyword search. And some applications have more elaborate and more sophisticated federated search engines, but most of them still use keywords. And advanced search engines handle queries a bit differently. They use NLP, which is an element of artificial intelligence, and it allows the search engine to process written text and spoken words the way that a human being does. So with NLP, a user can type in a query using natural language. They can include plurals, they can include pronouns, verbs in any form. It makes the search process more flexible, and it's more intelligent and more intuitive than applications that just rely on the keywords. And since NL processing happens internally, you can't directly observe it in action, but you can see that the search engine considers what you type and extrapolates from it. And because of that, you see higher quality results and you get a better user experience than you would just by typing in keywords. So it's important to note that the NLP tells the search engine what to search for, but it doesn't give the search engine an understanding of the user's intention. So for that, we need to go a step further into something called query intent detection. And we'll get to that in a minute. But let's back up, right? What is the information-driven organization, right? We talk about it in our tagline. We see the term out there more and more going beyond data-driven. Well, being information-driven means that employees spend less time searching for what they need and making sense of the data, and they spend more time on the decisions that will help the business grow. It's all about reducing cognitive burden. So what's that, you say? Well, cognitive burden is the extra thought and effort that we require as humans to evaluate all the available options and make optimal decisions. And we experience it on an individual level, and organizations experience it in aggregate as the sum of each of the individual employees' burdens. So to be information-driven, organizations need actionable information. They need it to be presented in context to surface insights, to inform decisions, and to elevate productivity. And the key to making this work is to automate as much as the process as possible. That's what's kind of shown here. And in doing so, organizations can reduce the burden on its employees and the amount of interpretation that they need to do. At the heart of a search experience is relevance. And an effective relevance model for enterprise search looks at all of the searchable information in stages or layers. So imagine the pyramid like the one that's shown here. The first layer at the bottom is the broad base of language itself, right? Search takes place in a given language after all. So the search engine must understand that language, and it has to do it as well as it possibly can. So this helps the search engine to know that the phrase "my right arm" doesn't refer to a preferred weapon, but rather to a part of the body, for example. And as you progress up the layers of the pyramid of relevance, the search engine's results improve. If you go beyond language, there are characteristics of documents. There's the document context, like whether it comes from an authoritative source, for example. There's the business context. And then the model starts to shift from content-centric elements to more user-centric approach. User identities matter. It's the question of who's asking the question, right? It might mean a lot, in fact, in terms of relevance. The user's role, the user's location could affect the search results, right? And advanced search solutions can also often ferret out the intent behind the query, what I talked about a few minutes ago. As the relevance model takes hold in an advanced search solution, the top of the pyramid, the outcome becomes more needle and less haystack. So the enterprise search engine begins to intuit what is meant, not just what is actually stated by the user or input by the user. And this yields proven results. As a vendor, we see this in our customer base all the time. Employee productivity is one of the primary drivers of ROI. If people can get more work done in less time, they're more productive. Productivity gains are equivalent to savings, in fact, and it's usually more understood in a physical context, right? So if Sally can weld 10 more widgets a day than she used to, her labor cost per widget goes down. That's a per unit savings. It's pretty obvious. And for information work, figuring out the productivity gains can be a little bit more difficult, but it's definitely possible. We actually provide a tool on our website to measure time savings across the organization. And our customers use it to predict and measure ROI using metrics like the current time wasted, the time saved per request with a good solution in place, the time to break even, right? When am I going to start seeing the results? And usually they see the cumulative gains over 3 years, and they use this tool to make an informed decision when it comes to investment. So there you can see one example. So our customers are the final proof point for us. We serve many of the Global 2000 organizations. You can see some of them here. These organizations have trusted Sinequa to enable their journey, and they continue to invest in new projects regularly. Also, according to the major analyst firms, Sinequa is a leader in our market. We've been a leader reliably for the latter half of the last decade, as you can see. A lot of other vendors have come and gone from leadership status. Sinequa has remained. So hopefully that gives you a sense of how best to monetize your enterprise information. I want to thank you for your time and wish you a great rest of the conference.
Wow, Scott, thank you so much. This was amazing. And I know this virtual audience is giving you a huge virtual round of applause. Thank you again for sharing with us today. And for the audience, it's time for you to make your way to your next session. Along the way, make sure you accept your connection request and take some time to check out our amazing exhibits. Thanks so much, and we'll see you around.